Welcome to day 4 of your 7-day joint reset. The program for today is going to follow the same format as every other day. First, we're going to start with our breathing. Second, we'll move into our cars. Third, we'll go pails and rails. Then 4, we're going to do our integration exercise. For your breathing, we're going to do 1 to 2 minutes of nasal breathing only. Secondly, since we're doing hips today, you might want to do hip cars and spine cars or hip cars and knee cars. Before we jump into our pails and rails, let's talk a little bit more about the hips. For day 1, we talked about hip internal rotation. Hip internal rotation is oftentimes the missing link for people, since that is what governs the amount of space in the hip capsule. As we talked about on day 1, the hip is a ball and socket joint. In the back of the hip capsule is where space is needed for your femur to glide back as you squat down. That's why it's very important to create that space in the hip capsule, and that's why without that space, the exercises that you're doing, no matter how much you cue them, your body just won't have that space in the hip socket for you to perform that movement. That's why hip internal rotation is so important. That's why we sequence the way we do. There's a rhyme and reason to everything that we're doing. There's a why behind the way the program is structured the way it is. Our hip external rotation clears that femur away from the midline as we squat down. So there needs to be space for that femur to drop back into the socket. There needs to be external rotation as the legs push out to create stability and torque, which allows you to drive strength into your standing up motion. That's why both internal and external rotation are so important to your lower body mobility programs, and that's why we focused on them here before addressing any linear issues like flexion, abduction, or even extension. Chances are, if you can clear up your rotational issues in the hip, it will clear up a lot of things that you have going on in the hip and make addressing those linear issues much easier to get figured out. So without any further ado, we're going to get into our hip external rotation work. We're going to again be setting up from the 90-90 position. Find a stretch on that front leg side. What I've found helps with finding that stretch is turning towards that front leg side and giving yourself an anterior pelvic tilt. That means tilting the pelvis forward as if it were a bucket and you're dumping water out of the front. Tilt that pelvis forward, lean forward into that leg, and try to pull your belly button forward and up as if it were on a string, pulling up and out that way if you're having trouble finding that stretch. Once you've found that stretch, we're going to breathe to relax the nervous system, teach our body that this is a safe position for us to be in, and sit in that stretch for about 30 seconds. At the end of the 30 seconds, we're going to start mentally connecting to those tissues in the glute, that outer hip on the front leg, and start pushing down through the knee and harder at the ankle, creating that rotational force again, moving that foot as if you're trying to get down to that 6 o'clock position. Push through that glute without any other muscles chiming in or compensating. The rest of your body is going to be still like a statue. We're driving down for 30 seconds, trying to fatigue that tissue within that 30-second time. When you finish that 30 seconds, stay in the exact position. Remember, this is an isometric, so there's no movement. Try to reverse direction of your squeeze and now try to lift that foot and rotate up to the 12 o'clock position. Squeeze up and try to fatigue that inner hip tissue within that 30 seconds. Complete 1 to 2 sets on both sides at the desired time and tension. Now that we've improved our body's ability for our hips to rotate the way they should and knees to rotate, a good integration exercise to add in would be the squat. Sit with your feet about shoulder width apart. They can be slightly more narrow, slightly wider. Doesn't make a huge difference, with the feet slightly turned outward. Begin by bending your hips and knees, keeping your chest up and squatting down as far as you can, and return to the starting position. Try not to pitch your torso too far forward. Remember to keep your midfoot bowing. Great job, and we'll see you tomorrow for shoulders part 2.